right now. Pittsburgh's best sports show is about to begin. Call us or tweet us. We've got things to talk about on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call.
Good evening, everyone. This is Bob Pompeani. We welcome you into the Fan Cave, where we talk sports 7 nights a week. We also have a special Steelers edition after Steeler games, which we did today for a couple of hours. And if you didn't get in then, this is your opportunity to call right now at 412-575-2600. Steelers get a big win today, one they needed after losing in Cincinnati the way they did. And their defense came up with some big plays, unlike that game that Thursday night. And those big plays helped them turn a close game, which was 13-9 late in the third quarter, into a 34-12 win to get to 6 wins and 4 losses. Also today, as that was going on, we saw the Cleveland Browns play well in the first half of their game, and they had Baltimore down, but the Ravens came back, and they had a beautiful fake tush push, which resulted in a 35-yard Mark Andrews run. Well designed, no one thought it was coming, and it came at the right time for them as they win 23-16. So the Steelers are 6-4, the Ravens are 5-5. I think it's fair to say the Bengals at 3-7 are done. The Browns have been done. So one of those two teams is going to win a division. And when you look ahead a little bit, you'll see the Steelers will ramp up their schedule. They're going to have some tough games. The Ravens, not so much, at least on paper. The Steelers will be in Chicago next Sunday. You'll see it on cable. Also talk about the Penguins, because the Penguins were in action today to complete their global series against Nashville. They lost the other day. They got a point, however. Want to talk about that or some leftover thoughts about Pitt and Notre Dame? Whatever you want to get into is fine by me. It's 412-575-2600. Call and air your opinions. We're opening up the phone lines right now. Want to hear from you next, right here on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call on KDKA+. All right, welcome back. This is our Xfinity tweet of the night from Tom Pelissero. Steelers quarterback Aaron Rodgers will undergo more tests Monday on his left wrist, but the initial belief is that nothing long-term. That's sources, according to Rap Sheet. X-rays at the stadium showed a small fracture. They won't know more until they have further scans. So that means most likely, I would think this is trending toward Rodgers missing at least one game, and that game is in Chicago, where the Steelers haven't won since 1995. And we'll see how that goes. And Mike Tomlin will have the results, or at least tell you where we are here in the quarterback situation on Tuesday at his press conference. And that will be at noon right here on KDKA+. Our poll question tonight from KDK.com/connect. Who would you give the game ball to today? And there are 4 choices for you. Kyle Duggar, who deserved one. Mason Rudolph also. Kenneth Gainwell had a very good day. Led them in receiving yards, followed by Darnell Washington, who's our 4th choice. And Washington has become the tight end of choice. He's getting more snaps than everyone. Today, Jonnu Smith has 0 catches, just 2 targets. Pat Freiermuth's just 1. He normally does very well and gets more opportunity against Cincinnati. Clearly, Darnell Washington is becoming a big play tight end maker after they stocked the position with all these tight ends. I don't think people thought originally it was he's going to be more of a blocking guy, short yardage, red zone maybe target. He's expanded that role and done it very well. 412-928-9370 is the number to call. And let's get to the phone lines. Mark in Pittsburgh is our first caller tonight. He joins us on line 1. Hey, Mark.
Hey, how you doing? Hey, remember in 1977, Bradshaw broke his left hand, and they put a cast on his hand, and he finished the season. Could you think the same thing would happen with Rodgers?
I have no idea, Mark, because we have to get the reports from them first off. If it's a small fracture of a bone or who knows what degree it is. The problem with that left hand, now people say it's not his throwing arm, which it's not. But if you're going under center, and we saw in the spring in the training camp that Will Howard hurt his finger under center. So you need to have access to your left hand to take the snap from center. So that becomes an issue. And certainly if there's a threat to lose the ball or fumble because of it, I don't know if you want to put him in there that quickly. So this may take a couple of weeks. We'll find out again on Tuesday the status of it. But you still need access to your left hand if you're going to play under center. And they won't be in shotgun every single play. So that's going to be a big consideration for them. All right, back to the lines. We got Dave in Charleroi. Hello, Dave.
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead, Dave.
Hey, if Mason Rudolph comes out and has a great game, you think they should keep Rodgers playing? I mean, the last couple of weeks he pretty well stunk.
Yeah, I think Dave, his level of play has certainly gone in a different direction. His yards per attempt over the last 4 games has steadily gone down. He looked uncertain, I think, in that Chargers game last week, and today, after the first drive, which was a good one, he still looked a little shaky out there. Certainly not the Aaron Rodgers you saw in the first 5 weeks of the season. So the bottom line there is, will Mason Rudolph get a chance? And if he does well, then you have a quarterback controversy on your hands. But I still think if he's healthy this week, if they're deemed healthy enough to play, I think Mike Tomlin will start him against Chicago. Thank you very much for the call. Let's move ahead to Todd in Shaler Township. Hello, Todd. How are you?
Hey, Bob. How you doing? Thanks for taking my call.
Yes, sir. What's up?
Hey, I love Marichov. I think if the Penguins really want to go somewhere, you think they're really going to keep her? It's weird because Jari fell apart in that Toronto game. I didn't see him get hurt, and the next thing he's hurt. So what's going on there? And then if you want to win, and Crosby and them are at the tail end, I think you got to play your best players. And same thing with Harrison Brunecki. Why are we playing Graves over him? I get the whole, 9 or 10 games or something.
But he's already played those.
Crosby.
He's already played those 9 games, Todd. So the next game he plays will determine what they're doing. But because he's still around, makes me think that they want to keep him around. And for some reason, he hasn't played at all. And until they make that next decision, he's not going to play. So if they decide he's going to be here for the rest of the year, he will play in the next game. If not, then he won't.
Yep. I think they need the young legs because I've noticed in the games where the Penguins have struggled in the third period, it's when Carlson, Letang, and Crosby and them are getting into the mid 20 minutes, like 24 minutes. When Carlson gets over 22 to 24 minutes, it just seems like that he loses his effectiveness in the game. And being that old, I wish they would just keep, like last night or today's game, I don't think any of the big guys really got up over that 22, 23, 24-minute mark. And I'd like just to see the young guys. If we're going to win, this is the next year or two. Yeah. I think we got to do it.
Well, listen, I think Dan Muse has a pretty good handle on this for sure. He's playing a lot of guys. He's not afraid of playing guys, young guys especially. That's why Ben Kindle got an opportunity and is stuck. I think that's why Brunek will eventually get another start here, and that means trigger his entry-level contract. And they have other guys who are young enough, like they brought in Shilovs in goal. He's been really good for them, along with Jari and Miroshov. And yes, I know of that Toronto game you speak of, Dave, where they had a 3-0 lead, and then all of a sudden the third period, everything. But it doesn't help when the first thing you allow in the third period is a breakaway to Austin Matthews, and that's what the defense did. So the goalie's out there hanging out to dry. They fell apart as a team in that third period, I thought, in that game. They needed him to make a big save, but overall he's been good. Now, when he's healthy and all 3 of them are healthy, then they have a little bit of a decision to make. I still think their ideal situation is seeing what Miroshov can do, sticking with him as much as you can. Eventually, he and Shilovs are the 2 guys, and Jari goes someplace else in a trade, and hopefully there'll be an opening somewhere. Sometimes you got to be lucky and just wait for an opportunity. A starting goaltender gets injured, they need somebody, and that may open up the pathways. But all 3 have been very good so far. Jim is in Peters Township, and now he's on the sports call. Hey, Jim.
Hey, Bob. How you doing?
Good.
I'm a Pitt graduated in '75, and it was sad. I mean, I was there in '74 when Dorsett ran for 303 yards against Notre Dame, and he smoked them. This Jeremiah Love, the running back for Notre Dame, he's a #1 pick. And that Malachi, that receiver.
Yeah, Malachi Fields was dynamic yesterday.
I mean, they're both #1 draft choices when they come out, in my opinion. But I was disappointed because Pitt didn't fare well, really.
Yeah, I think Pitt was just outmanned. They don't have enough talent to compete with Notre Dame right now. And you saw the separation of that talent early in the football game. And I also think Mason Heinzel, there were not a lot of guys running open for them. First drive of the day, that's the one Poppy Williams had a catch that he should have made. Who knows if that turns into points on the first drive. It might have started a little differently, but because it didn't, they scored quickly, had a pick 6. I think Heinzel learned a lot, and maybe he needs to go through games like that to understand it's not going to always be as you see from the first 5 games of your career. So it's a lesson for, they still can win out and get a chance here. But I think that game reveals them as being just an average football team overall. And I don't know where they're ranked in terms of their power rankings, but they will not be in the top 25 this week. So I think they'll fall out of it based on how they played in that game.
I agree.
All right, thanks, Jim. Appreciate it. Next up is Georgia Tech, and they got a little bit lucky, I thought. They escaped yesterday, and they were on the ropes against, I think it was Boston College or NC State. I forget who they played now, but Boston College is not a good team, but they gave them all they can handle. So that game is at Georgia Tech. I just think it sets a bad, taste for Pitt now, losing the way they did, knowing that these two games are coming up. And that's why I disagree with how Pat Narduzzi made his statement the other day at the press conference, where he said he kind of downplayed this game against Notre Dame. I understand the bottom message there, which was the last two games are ACC games. They matter more in conference play. I would have said, instead of what he said, I would have said, but this is Notre Dame, ladies and gentlemen. This is one of the marquee franchises and programs that you have. Beating them in front of a sellout crowd, we need that. We are not going to take this game lightly. We're certainly not going to look ahead to Georgia Tech yet. We have this game to play. And instead, it came off like, it doesn't matter. And if you saw some of the Twitter videos of Notre Dame players on the field, they were actively talking about what Pat Narduzzi said prior to their game yesterday. So it did, if you believe in bulletin board stuff, I sometimes do, that had an impact on how they played that game. We got to take a break here. It's 412-575-2600. Call us. We're on the air 7 nights a week. We'll continue conversations with you right here on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. It's KDKA+. All right, welcome back. We continue right here. A little shout out to the Pittsburgh Riverhounds Soccer Club. Last night, they won at home in the Eastern Conference Finals in front of a largest crowd ever. 6,700 plus on hand, standing room only, and they saw a wonderful game where they won 1-0 on a goal by Upper St. Clair's Robbie Mertz. And that catapults them into the finals for the very first time. They get the Eastern Conference trophy, and now they'll take on Tulsa for the championship of the USL. That game is on KDKA, the mothership. That's coming up on Saturday at noon, so you can watch it from Tulsa. And we certainly hope and wish all the best to the Riverhounds. They've come a long way. They've been to the playoffs 8 consecutive years, and they've fallen short a few times. But this time they put it all together, and it was great to see that many people show up for that game last night at Highmark Stadium. All right, we have a tweet here from my friend Paul, who says, what are your thoughts about James Pierre doing a flip into the end zone? If he doesn't stick that landing, he could definitely do some damage to his ankles and be out for a while. Well, that's an interesting thing, Paul, because I enjoy the guys who get excited about big plays the way they do. I mean, it's a lot of adrenaline flowing through those guys as they make plays like that. But yes, generally I agree. I don't want to take the fun out of this, but I also know that by doing that, you can injure yourself. We've seen people do this in sports where they celebrate. The Martin Gramatica comes to mind more on top of everybody else. He's kicking a long field goal, and he goes up to celebrate it, lands awkwardly, and then tears his ACL. And so he's done. To me, and I saw Jameson Williams tonight in the game against the Eagles. He does an Antonio Brown and just kind of gets to an end of a touchdown run and jumps onto the goalpost, slides down. They gave him an unsportsmanlike conduct, which meant that the extra point was 48 yards, and he missed it. So that's a critical play, and you got to be mindful of that kind of stuff too. You want to have fun, sure, you could celebrate, but there's no need to go that direction in terms of costing your team a point, which could very much factor in an outcome of a game. All right, so that's one thing. We also want to talk about, I think, the good job. You know about the Steelers' big plays, the turnovers. But they did a very good job on the 2-star wide receivers of the Cincinnati Bengals. Unlike the first time around when Jamar Chase had 23 targets and 16 receptions. You also saw T. Higgins involved. Well, today, not so much. Chase only had 3 catches on 10 targets. That was it. He was clearly frustrated. Jalen Ramsey put a hit on him early in the game that kind of took him off his game. Higgins had the one play, but there was a penalty. I thought it might be called back. It turned out to be Cam Hayward, who did not believe the call. There was like a hands to the face, whatever it was. We never saw a replay on the broadcast, so we don't know exactly what that was. But that was the only play Higgins made, really. So I think they did a very good job of coming up with plays. And 2 guys who were not here at the beginning of the season help. And this is why you never know how things are going to work out. James Pierre with the scoop and score, but he made some good plays along with that touchdown. Also, you had Kyle Duggar, a guy who wasn't even here at the start of the season, wasn't here 3 weeks ago. He comes here, plays 77 of 78 snaps in his first game after arriving midweek from New England, and then makes that play today. That was just a bad throw by Joe Flacco. He never saw him. Went for the middle of the field, but a little pressure does that to quarterbacks as they throw it maybe a little earlier than they want. Duggar goes the distance. So we'll see about the injury to Darius Slay. He was in concussion protocol all week. Does he return? Also, some of the other things. We're waiting for Asante Samuel to show up one of these days. He got here last week. Some thought he might play today. He didn't, but he was signed. he may get in this next week, as they got a very talented Chicago Bears team. It comes ahead next Sunday, 1 o'clock on KDKA. That's going to do it for us. Join us tonight for the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown. It's on after the late news on KDKA. In the meantime, thank you for joining us. Have a good week. And you want to call, we're here 7 nights a week. Business is always open. Have a good night.